Hello again, gentlemen, ladymen. Today we're going to check out the Crown Jewels Model 1007 in black sandblast finish. This pipe is $29.99. It's a briar pipe, obviously low end. We're going to take a quick check on it. I've had this pipe for about 5.5, 6 months, something like that. I've smoked it very regularly. I smoke it an average of twice a week just because I bought it. I'm not a cheapskate, but I bought it. I paid money for it. So I'm going to use it. I wouldn't review it if I hadn't used it enough to understand a little bit about it. So we're going to talk about it for just a few minutes today. I have, again, this is the model 1007. And as you can see, it's, again, black sandblast finish, acrylic. We'll talk about that in a minute. Stem. Bowl shape is pretty nice, but it's not, there's a few issues with this bowl, a few issues with the pipe in general. First off, overall, it's a compact pipe. It's not a mini pipe, but it is compact. It's fairly small. I don't have huge hands, but my hands are pretty big. But you can see it's not huge in my hand. It's, I think, honestly, you could probably get two of these into a standard size pipe glove. A glove would normally fit one pipe. You can put two in it. This is a compact pipe, but it's not miniature. It has a full size chamber in it, but that's about all, honestly, the good that I have to say about this particular pipe. It looks very thick walled. As you look at it, you can see the carvings are uneven, but it looks like it has a very thick wall, but that changes quickly with this sharp taper. These chamber walls on the bottom, and as you get about midway down, they are very, very thin. And I have to say, this pipe gets hot very quickly, extremely quickly, even when I smoke aromatics in it, like a black Cavendish, which is a famously cool burning in general. American black Cavendishes are made with mostly burley, so they burn fairly cool compared to even Danish or other European style Cavendishes, which are made with Virginia, so they burn harder. But not harder. I have smoked straight Virginia in this pipe, and that is a no-no. This pipe does not handle Virginia or Virginia Perique at all. It just burns too hot. With these thin chamber walls, it gets so hot that you cannot hold it. I have to hold this pipe like a cigarette or a cigar when I'm smoking it with Virginia, which I obviously don't do very much. I occasionally do smoke Virginia Perique in it, just for the heck of it, but I cannot recommend it for anything other than smoking Cavendish in it, and I'm going to address that some more in just a minute. Stem is standard acrylic material, just like the Roma pipe we reviewed a day or two ago. Standard acrylic stem, regular tenon on it. Now, I will say this about the shank of this pipe. It is very short. It is shorter than almost any other low-end pipe I have seen. It is too short for a regular 6mm filter. This pipe is not meant to be filtered. It's more of a European market pipe. American market pipe where we don't filter as much. I filter quite a bit though, but this shank is just too short for a filter. You have to cut about 5/16 of an inch off of a standard paper 6mm filter to make it work without burning your filter and smoking paper. And you don't want to smoke paper. So keep that in mind. If you do buy one of these, you will need to trim your filters, which is very simple. A pair of scissors will snip it right off. Does have a crown bored into it. Not as good and not as smooth as some others I've seen. And also the bore, and it may just be this one pipe, but I've got a feeling that it's not just the one pipe. This stem is very tight in the bore of the shank. It takes a lot. You may hear all this squeaking and cracking. And that's every time. Whether it's hot, whether it's cold. You don't really want to take your shank out, your stem out of your shank when it's very hot anyway. But that shank is just bored very tight, and I'm afraid I'm going to twist the stem right off and either twist it off of the tenon or just crack the stem. It's so tight. I'm always afraid of that, so I have to be very careful. So keep that in mind. The shank is very tight, and I've got a feeling that it's not just limited to this one pipe. I think it's going to be a problem with all. Now, Crown has some nicer pipes. I'm not knocking Crown, but this is their low-end model, and you get what you pay for. When you're talking $29.99 for a real briar pipe, how much can you really expect? Well, unfortunately, you cannot expect much with this pipe. Like I said about the Roma 1003 I reviewed, I'm proud as I can be of that pipe. This pipe, I am not. It's just too many problems. Smoking it, I have smoked Virginia in it. Virginia is just too hot. That's about the hottest burning tobacco you're going to find anyway, but it's just too hot for these thin chamber walls. Again, they look thick up here, but with this taper, it gets thin very quick. They drilled, apparently this was this size. They cut it out to this size and then just tapered it from there, which is okay sometimes, but in this case, they lost a lot of material on this chamber, and the walls are so thin that even aromatics, even Cavendish's cool burning aromatics, get this pipe very hot. Even with those, again, I have to wind up doing the little cigar hole to smoke the thing. It's so hot on the bottom, and it's so hot that you can't even hold it up here at the top of the chamber. So this pipe, it gets hot very fast. Now the draw on this pipe is not very good either. No matter how I've packed it, no matter how I have loaded it, no matter what method I've used, this pipe does not like to draw quite right. I have to draw kind of hard on it. Once you get tamped down about into the end of the middle third, about the end of the middle third, it starts to draw a little better when it gets to the bottom of this almost, I don't know if you can see it, I doubt you can, I'll try to get some better light on it, this almost very sharply ogive shaped chamber. This is a very sharp angle this chamber is bored on, and that creates another problem, by the way, with moisture. Moisture from even drier tobaccos like Virginia Perique builds up in there very quickly. I usually wind up having to change the filter on this pipe after just 2 smokes and clean it after about 3 or 4 smokes. So it can hardly even last a day, even with lower moisture tobacco, without having to be clean, because it just gunks up so bad. And again, I don't think you can see that, but the way this chamber is bored, the way the airway is bored, it just builds up gunk. So it's just a pain. But I do smoke it. I do use it. I don't absolutely hate it, but I don't expect to get much life out of it due to the chamber walls and how thin they are. I get a few years out of it though, and at $29.99, what's the big deal if you do burn through it? But I treat it right. I pace myself smoking. I understand it. I know it needs some TLC when you're smoking it, so I pace myself carefully, make sure not to overheat it. But overall, I don't expect it to last very long, and overall, I just cannot recommend this pipe. There's just not enough good to justify it. There's not enough good to any way make up for the negatives. Not enough positives to make the negatives worth it. So if you're considering, if you're just desperate for a pipe and you're going to spend $29.99, wait one more paycheck and spend $39.99 and get a slightly better step up in your low-end Briar line of pipes. Again, I simply cannot recommend this pipe. Again, not attacking Crown, not bashing them. They have some very nice pipes, but this particular line, the Crown Jewels line, I simply cannot recommend. Based off this pipe, I don't have any other of the Jewels line, but they all look virtually the same to me. It look like they're built the same way, and I just simply cannot recommend them. So there it is, the Crown 1007. I just simply cannot find a way that you could justify buying it, even at only $30 for a briar pipe. Cannot recommend it. Cannot see that anybody else would either. Sorry, Crown, but you missed the mark on this one. So there it is. Not recommended. The Crown Jewels 1007. Just don't buy it. It's not worth it. Unless you're strictly smoking very cool burning tobaccos. And then again, you'll have the cleaning problems that I have with it. So no, not recommended. And just don't do it. It's not worth it. So there it is. And thank you for watching. We're going to have some more stuff coming up. I'm going to review some tobaccos very soon. So keep in touch for that. And thank you for coming to this channel. Hopefully we'll have some more stuff coming up very soon besides pipe and tobacco reviews. Looking forward to doing some other things as well. So have a good day, and I do not have a catchphrase.